Here. It's my privilege meeting for Tuesday, June 4th. Recognize is out and we have you. Item. Thank you all very much. Item 4 is recognition of Mount Pleasant Youth Council seniors. Mrs. Sims.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. It's my pleasure to recognize our 7 graduating seniors from the Youth Council tonight. This is an extraordinary group of young adults. I cannot say enough good things about them. They volunteered their time monthly to come to the meetings and participate in community events on behalf of the teens in this town. They've started a tremendous conversation about mental health resources for our students, and they've spent significant time focusing on the most vulnerable of our population. Whether it was creating and sending cards to homebound residents during the holidays or collecting toiletries for the homeless over spring break, they have continuously given of their time and talent to our town. And I know that their work, especially the conversation about mental health resources, is going to continue well beyond their time. So at this time, I'd like to introduce each senior to you. We have 2 that were unable to be with us tonight, and just let you know a little bit about their plans for next year. So Gracie Cannon is our first. If she looks familiar, she was just up here as one of our state champions. And she came to us from Oceanside Academy, and next year she'll be going to Limestone College to play women's soccer. Imagine that. Callie DeMora is our next member, and she came to us from Wando High School. Next year she'll be attending Clemson University. Adam El Hassan, who also from Oceanside Academy, is going to College of Charleston next year to play men's volleyball. Geneva Cobidio came to us from Porter Gaud, and next year she'll be attending Wofford University. Isabel Turner, she was unable to be with us tonight. She came to us from Wando High School, and she will be attending University of Georgia. And then we have McKenna Young, who came to us from Bishop England, our first member from Bishop England in our 3 years of existence. And next year she'll be attending the University of Rochester. And last but not least, we have McLean Stocklosa, who came to us from Academic Magnet. He was unable to be here tonight, but next year he'll be attending the United States Merchant Marine Academy. So please join me in thanking them for their service this year and the few years that they've all been on. Yes, we are taking applications currently till the end of June. Tell all of your friends. It's a fun time.
All right. Perfect. Thanks, guys. Thank you all very much. We look forward to all of y'all someday. Hopefully some of y'all will be sitting on this side of the dais and serving on this council in the future. And never forget, Mount Pleasant is home, and we want to make it and keep it the kind of home that you want to come back to. So we're very proud of you, and it was our privilege to honor you tonight and to have you show up for that honor. Thank you very much. There being nothing left on the agenda for this special meeting, we will stand adjourned. Thank you. Good evening. want to welcome you to the June 14th meeting of Mount Pleasant Town Council on this warm, humid, low country day. Really glad our air conditioner works in here, and we plan on using it tonight. Our agenda has been published before you. Item number 1 is prayer led by Chaplain Robertson, and then the pledge led by Mayor Pro Tem Gary Santos. Please stand.
If you'd like to join me in prayer. Almighty God, we thank you for this cool room, but we also thank you for the warm hearts that love this community, that have gathered here to share their hearts, their minds, their hands, their work, and their dedication. God, we ask for your blessing, your wisdom. We ask, Lord, that you speak through all those who love this community, and you speak through collaborative service. We thank you for our first responders and all of our civil servants, our council members, and all those who lead and all those who serve this wonderful, beloved community. And it's in your holy and precious name that we invite you and pray. Amen.
Amen. Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
And before we move on, let me remind everyone today is primary election day. The polls are open until 7 o'clock, so if you haven't voted yet, please try to get to the polls by 7. That would be great. Item number 3 is approval of the agenda. I think we have a motion.
Move for approval.
Need a second? And a second, we have in discussion. Yes, sir.
I would like to amend the agenda to move item 10B, the final reading of the sewer annexation ordinance, to the consent agenda. So item 10B would go to item 7G. It would be 7G.
All right. We have a motion. Do we have a second, please?
Second.
We have a motion and a second. We are in discussion on the motion to amend the agenda. Any discussion? All in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, so that is moving it from item 10B to item 7G. Now we will vote on approval of the agenda as amended. All in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, we have an amended agenda. Thank you very much. Item number 4 is public hearings, awards, and presentations. Who will be taking it from here? Mr. DeMora?
Lead us off.
Got it. Nicole, good to see you.
You too. Thank you very much. So most of you know, 35 years ago, the Magwood family brought shrimping families together with the town to start the Mount Pleasant Blessing of the Fleet and Seafood Festival. Ann Magwood, who's with us tonight, and the other wives cooked the shrimp, sold the t-shirts and sodas, and put their kids to work supporting the cause. Town staff is forever grateful to Ann, Tressie, and Jennifer, and the other daughters for all the work that they continue to put into planning and producing the festival with us every year. The award-winning festival is one of the Low Country's favorite pastimes, which aims to educate our community and visitors about the importance of supporting local fishermen while also honoring and celebrating this important part of our town's heritage. The season is now open, so make sure you stock up. Can't get better shrimp anywhere. 17 vessels were blessed this year, including the lead Coast Guard boat and the former Winds of Fortune, which came back again this year to honor our longtime community icon, Captain Wayne Magwood. Each registered Shem Creek vessel owner received $500 for a total of $6,500 in direct support of our local shrimping and fishing fleet. We encourage you all to ask local restaurants where their seafood comes from and help us promote the local and wild American seafood movement by posting to social media with the hashtags JustAsk and ExperienceMP when you find restaurants serving local seafood. As this festival has grown, so has its need for community support on event day. Volunteers are essential to our ability to bring this festival to life each year. Our local nonprofit partners put in a lot of sweat equity in return for receiving the net proceeds of the event. This year's beneficiaries, East Cooper Community Outreach and the Carolina Children's Charity, helped us fill more than 100 volunteer shifts. It is also worth noting that many town employees volunteer their time, and just about every department is represented on event day. To all of our volunteers, we're truly grateful. Their work, they're great to work with, and we're humbled by their generosity of time. East Cooper Community Outreach provides safety net services to low-income neighbors while empowering them to create a better future for themselves, their families, and their communities. Founded in the aftermath of Hurricane Hugo, ECHO was formed as an emergency relief effort and has since grown into a permanent resource for families in financial distress, the elderly and disabled, the uninsured and underinsured, the unemployed and underemployed, single mothers, and veterans, so a bunch of us are served. The organization serves families who are in both situational poverty and generational poverty. ECHO's programs are designed to best fulfill the community's unmet needs while encouraging self-sufficiency, healthy living, and financial resilience. Over the last few decades, ECHO has expanded its programs to adapt to the changing economic environment, and one of their goals is to provide low-income families with holistic wraparound services and support to help clients address the underlying causes that have contributed to their situations. Their impact has helped to enhance social and economic growth in our town and continues to enhance the quality of life for its residents. ECHO fills an otherwise unmet need for the local underserved population, providing necessary public services to thousands of struggling families every year. Carolina Children's Charity is near and dear to lots of our hearts, especially our fire department, who works closely with them. And they assist low-country children with diagnosed birth defects and/or childhood diseases to ensure that they have access to medically necessary items or services. Since their inception in 1987, they have provided assistance to thousands of low-country children with birth defects or other disabling diseases in services totaling more than $4.6 million. Carolina Children's Charity raises funds with 3 major special events: the Boot Drive, the Cornhole Tournament, Band Blast, and the Caregive Run 5K. With the help of the Low Country firefighters, local businesses, sponsors, and many other groups, they are able to provide assistance to so many special children in our community, and we are very grateful for that. I would like to call up Ann and Jennifer Magwood. Unfortunately, Trustee could not be with us this evening, and also ECHO Executive Director Stephanie Kelly and Carolina Children's Charity Executive Director Sonia Beal, along with Board Member Christopher Wallace, if you all could join me. We are proud to have these organizations serving and representing our town. We had an outstanding event this year, and we are thrilled to present them each with a check for more than $7,800 to continue their missions in support of our residents. By the way, that shirt that we sold so many of we had that on hold for 2 years. We designed that shirt, so it was very well received. We're very happy about that. And, I took my reading glasses off. ECHO, okay.
Thank you so much.
Thank you very much. Thank you for everything you do. We want to get a couple of pictures. We'll do separate.
And then we'll hug her.
Oh, wait. Oh, yeah, there you go.
We had a group one?
Do you want to do 2 separate ones?
Yeah. Individuals for your social media.
Thank you.
Great. Thanks.
Thank you guys so
Thank you.
much. Thank you. Thanks. It makes such a difference. Appreciate it.
Thanks so much.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you all so much.
Thank you.
Thanks so much.
Should I just stay here? I get to steal the show today. I'm next agenda item 2. Do you have to call it? No. Okay. So next we have the Civic Pride Award. So each year the Culture Arts and Pride Commission identifies businesses and organizations in Mount Pleasant that go above and beyond in their beautification efforts. The CAP Commission chose the Alchemist Beverage Company and Restaurant to receive the 2022 Civic Pride Award for their outstanding efforts to renovate, landscape, and beautify their outdoor space. Of course, the inside is incredibly beautiful and inviting also. If you haven't been there, it is an amazing space, and I know a lot of town staff have told me out as well that they love it. So if I could please call forward owner Garrett Taylor and staff member Jennifer Gers. Did I get the name? Yes, good. To receive the award. Thank you so much. We appreciate your commitment to our community and your beautification efforts that contribute to the significant sense of pride we feel to live in the town of Mount Pleasant. Thank you very much. Thank you very much. Thank you, council.
Thank you.
And man.
Huh?
Thank you, council and mayor.
Next, we have some longevity awards.
Thank you very much. Michael, do you want to come up here?
Well, that's why he wore a tie.
I know, looks nice. I told him it was casual summer, and he said it doesn't matter. Always wear a tie.
I asked him why he had a tie on, and he didn't say anything, so I see now.
Okay. It is my honor to recognize Michael Robertson for 25 years of service to the town. Michael started working for the town on June 6, 1997, when the town's total population was just under 30,000 people. It's a third of what it is today. He was hired as a planner, promoted to senior planner, principal planner, and he currently serves as the Division Chief of Community Planning and Zoning. In addition to that management responsibility, Michael serves a key role as the zoning administrator. He took over this position when Kent Prowser retired after 30 years. The zoning administrator must make difficult decisions when applying, interpreting, and enforcing the town's extensive set of zoning rules and regulations. As you might expect, he's not always on everyone's good side, but he's able to make these tough decisions through thoughtful consideration. Over his career, Michael has been staffed to the Historic District Preservation Commission, formerly known as the Old Village Historic District, formerly known as TAC, so he's seen a few changes. He staffed Design Review Board for more than 20 years, Board of Zoning Appeals for more than 10 years, in addition to special projects, code amendments, preparation of several overhauls and updates of the town's long-range comprehensive plan, and of course, seeing all the change he's seen and watching the town's size triple. After 2.5 decades of work in the same jurisdiction, Michael has seen a lot of change and amassed a wealth of institutional knowledge. He brings that and his experience when looking at a variety of issues. I do believe in another life, Michael was probably a teacher. He is our staff historian. He imparts that, as well as his knowledge, onto our younger planners. Michael is smart, creative, thoughtful, knowledgeable, and incredibly witty. He makes us laugh at least once a day. I consider him a colleague and a friend, and someone who will always tell me the truth. And if you know Michael, you know that he never minces words. Please join me in recognizing Michael for 25 years of wonderful service to the town.
Thank you very much. Item 5 is approval of the minutes from the May 10th Town Council meeting, the June 6th Special Town Council meeting, and the April financial statement. Do we have a
Move for
motion?
approval, Mr. Mayor.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Is there any discussion or any Scribner's errors?
Only one, Mayor. I only found one in the May 10th, and I can't blame our clerk because she had to deal with the equipment
Yes.
by herself, and she did a great job. So to only find one with the equipment issues was great. So thank you very much, Christine.
And so just for clarity, it's nothing that affects the accuracy of the
No.
minutes or the
No.
content thereof. All right, we have a motion, and a second. Any discussion? All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, motion is passed. The minutes are approved. Item 6 is public comment. If you would like to speak, or if you have signed up when your name is called, please come forward. 2.5 minutes for tonight. Please make your comment, and we ask your cooperation when time is up because others are waiting to speak behind you. So, Mr. DeMora, if you will take over. Thank you.
Thank you, Mayor. First speaker is John Evans.
Mr. Mayor, distinguished council, I got 3 things I want to do today. First being Councilman Gritchie. Carl, thank you and congratulations on what you did with those young people at the Special Olympics. Very noteworthy. Thank you. Second of all, Councilman Chapman and you, Mr. Mayor, I am privy to information that if it hadn't been for y'all, we may not have had a National Guard Army in Mount Pleasant. Thank you for standing up. 23 years of my life were spent over there, and I hope another 23 and I can look at it again. But thank y'all for y'all's standing behind us. Thirdly and lastly, as most of you may know or might not know, I'm a lifelong resident of Mount Pleasant. Born here, raised here, educated here, married here, raised my kids here, and I'll be buried here. Well, during my educational life, back when Moby Dick was a minnow, I had the privilege of attending a school here. It's no longer here. Several months ago, I got a picture of that school, and I commissioned a drawing, a painting of a Mount Pleasant resident. And some of you may have seen some of his work. He doesn't live here now. He lives at Stone Mountain, Georgia, Mr. Arnold German. And I called him and I said, Bo, I want you to do this for me. He said, how you want it? I said, do what you think you need to do. So tonight, Mr. Mayor, with your approval, I want to present this copy of that painting to the town. I don't know if you want to hang it in the hallway or give it to the historical section, but all I named it was early education. And those of us who attended this know where it was at. So at this time, and I'll tell you, so the town is getting print number 2. And when the school starts back in the fall, I will present number 1 to the Mount Pleasant Academy at that time.
Thank you.
So if you don't mind, it ain't like I'm asking you.
Yeah, give it to the clerk.
Anyway.
I need you to give it to the clerk, if you will. Yes.
Well, let me show everybody what I did here. And you may recognize it. This is back when school was school, okay? Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Jody Gary.
Mr. Mayor, my name is Jody Gary. I'm also a lifelong resident, raised my kids here, and I plan on being buried here as well. I'm here today and as regards to the rezoning request for the Shade of Plenty Mobile Home Park. I am the broker, the listing agent for that property. I understand that there is some opposition to, considerable opposition to the rezoning request. I want to try and give a different perspective. I represent the 8 heirs who've inherited that property, and it's just my hope that by hearing some other points of view, you can take that into consideration as you make your decision. First of all, when we started marketing the property, our focus was on, when I studied the property, I identified that there were some issues that were going to make it challenging to develop it anyway. One of the problems with this property is that out of the 4 acres, 3 acres where the mobile home park is, are relatively long and narrow. It's 900 feet by 135 feet on the end closest to Shimwood. The zoning that was placed on the property, R1, when the property was annexed in 2009, actually doesn't work well for the shape of that parcel. If you try to bring a 50-foot road into a parcel that's only 135 feet wide, you've only got 85 feet left. The minimum depth on an R1 lot is 100 feet. So the property technically can't be developed under that zoning. So at a bare minimum, I do hope the council will consider that perhaps the R1 decision in 2009 didn't carefully consider the shape of the parcel that was platted all the way back in the 40s. To continue, I believe there's been a fair amount of misinformation about the impact that this development would have. It's approved for 36 homes. That's what's allowed in the mobile home park. We looked at it and felt if we were going with a lower density, 20 homes, that we're reducing traffic. We're trying to be sensitive to the market. Secondly, there are physical characteristics with specimen trees that need to be protected that make development more difficult. Smaller lot sizes will simply make it easier for the developer to be able to position homes within that site while still preserving those trees that need to be protected. Some of the information that was published and is still available online on nextdoor.com said this property was going to be developed with as many as 120 condos. I know of at least a couple of people who signed the petition in opposition to that were not aware of that situation, and when they learned the truth about the development said they wouldn't have been opposed. Thank you.
Mary Lee Waters.
Good evening. I guess I'll start out too by saying I'm a lifelong resident and I plan to get buried here too. So I'm gonna keep that going. But I'm here in regard to the first reading under new business of the rezoning for the 763, 767 Long Point Road from Limited Office District to Neighborhood Commercial District. So to go into that, so here I am again fighting for my personal enjoyment of life and the preservation of a historically black settlement community, as we have been termed. The last time I was here, it was the fight against AB area-wide business district. Now something has reared its ugly head again, but it put the word community in it, followed by commercial. Just like the other plan, it could mean me or my children not being able to do any future rebuilding of my home. This would change the tax value millage and begin the destruction of the Snout community with the forever threat of gentrification. No matter what someone says they're going to do, it's the zoning that matters. They could say it's an ice cream stand. That ice cream stand is going there, and later on it could be something bigger or whatever that zone's called for, if it were gas station, whatever else. This zoning is no different from the other one in that it is a way to eventually get what was sought originally. The comprehensive plan states that the town wants to preserve communities like mine, but if all the property owner has to do is to annex into the town and change the zoning to impact those who are already there, that plan isn't worth much of the paper that it's written on. The person sees this as a means to make money. Never mind the solitude and contentment I have after a hard day teaching special needs learners. Never mind that they will destroy where I live and hope to die. I am fighting for my life. So I'm asking town council to please follow suit with the planning commission and the planning committee by denying this request. Thank you.
Thomas Buzzy Bramble.
Well, Mayor and City Council, I'm the developer or partner representing the developer on the Shade of Plenty mobile home site. The reason I wanted to say something, Jody pretty much covered it. There was at the Planning Commission meeting an erroneous post that said that we were going to put 120 townhomes in on that site. That was never our intention whatsoever. The R3 zoning allows us that there's two parts. The first part of this property is zoned R2, and then the long skinny part is R1, as he told you. For us to make the site work around the trees, the R3 zoning is a maximum of 6 units per acre. There's a little over 4 acres there, so we're talking a maximum of 24 houses. We're only putting in 20 to build around the trees, to protect the trees. That's all we wanted to do, is get the 20 houses in there. They'll be well over $1 million because the land cost is what it is. And I know there was some opposition. There were concerns about traffic. There's 36 sites in there now. There's more traffic in the mobile home now than there would be with 20 houses. We would be reducing that. And then there were some concerns about drainage issues back towards Shimwood. Obviously, if we developed the property, we would correct the drainage issues with our pond being back in the back of the property. Those drainage issues would be corrected. So I just wanted you guys to hear that side of it as well, and thank you for your time.
Julie O'Connor.
Mr. Mayor, council members, I'm Julie O'Connor. I'm a designer here in Charleston, and I'm here with my clients, Skip and Shirley Runge, who own 110 Pitt Street, which is new business number 3 on your agenda. The property is currently zoned neighborhood commercial, despite the fact that this house was built before 1870 and has always been a residence. So we are here to correct that due to the fact that the zoning staff has told us that we can make no changes to this property because it is a residence and is non-conforming in a commercial zone. This came up when we applied to the HTPC for an elevator so that my clients could age in place in this home that they love. And we also applied for a garage for much-needed storage and parking. But we cannot proceed through that process unless the property is rezoned. Along with the zoning staff, we have chosen R4 as the residential zoning that most closely aligns with this property. It is a very small piece of land, and so the zoning staff felt that R4 was the closest to the size requirements. We are here to answer questions later as this agenda item comes up on your docket. So just wanted to introduce myself and let you know. Thanks very much.
Jane Deerline.
How did we get here? Discussing a tax increase to pay for what? We are not sure. The $6.5 million purchase of property may have seemed like a good idea at the time to someone, but without due diligence, planning, and proper vetting, it has left us all wondering why. I understand the $6.5 million was federal money given to us as part of the COVID relief giveaway. But it was still taxpayer money and should have been used in a more thoughtful and respectful manner. Now we, the town of Mount Pleasant taxpayers, are owners of what? A piece of real estate, that will cost who knows what to make into who knows what. Seems like a lot of whats that no one has answers for. This hasty purchase does not need to be followed by a hasty tax increase. The town council should take time to consider its options, and maybe one option it should consider is the sale of this property. The town is not in the property development business. No more money needs to be spent or allocated until a doable plan is created. I do not believe that this ill-advised purchase should be made worse by spending more taxpayers' money. Please consider all options, including the sale of this property, before raising taxes or asking to raise taxes, especially in this time of high inflation and economic stress. This boondoggle was created by the town council and should not be put on the shoulders via voting of the town Mount Pleasant to clean up. Thank you.
Michael German.
Michael German, 1707 Snowden Road. I too am a lifetime, all my life member of the area. I'm not in the town of Mount Pleasant, but I'm your close neighbor in the settlement community of Snowden, black settlement community of Snowden. I too stand in opposition to the first reading of the rezoning request to rezone the tract of land on Long Point Road. Just like Merle, I'm not going to reiterate what you said, but if you are truly our neighbor and if you truly want to work with us in the unincorporated area of this in close proximity to your town, I hope you would follow the recommendations of the Planning Commission and the Planning Committee recommendation to deny this developer to rezone this property. Thank you very much.
Carrie Campbell.
Good evening, Mr. Mayor, or Town Council members. Thank you for your time and your thoughtful consideration of my request for you to deny the rezoning of Russell Drive. I'm sorry, I didn't bring my glasses, so I have to read 1156 Russell Drive. I live directly adjacent to where this property will be developed. And although there are flooding issues, I've made a statement in the record for the Planning Commission, there are flooding issues in my backyard, which I think will be exacerbated by this development. This will completely change the aesthetics of my backyard. But in addition, I know the rescission, the pond that the developer was talking about putting in may sound silly. I already have a bunch of mosquitoes, and some standing water sitting in my backyard is not really what I'm looking forward to. As well as the circular drive that they're looking at putting in, that means headlights will be coming in and out of my sliding glass doors, and would again change my quality of life sitting in my living room. I would also just like to say, you all probably know better than anyone, you can't put the toothpaste back in the tube once you rezone this. There's adjacent, so what happens 10, 20 years from now when the next person doesn't want to put only 20 homes on the property? And there's adjacent property. There's 33 acres, 36 acres right beside there. So if this is rezoned R3, what does that mean for that property? Then what does that mean for our neighborhood in the future? I really appreciate your thoughtful consideration, and I ask you to support what the Planning Commission suggested and deny this request.
Alan Klum.
Mayor, Town Council, how are you? Appreciate being here tonight. Thank you for your time.
Can I compliment you on your shirt before you continue?
We didn't set that up. Appreciate your time tonight. I want to thank you on behalf of Mount Pleasant Waterworks for moving forward the changes in the annexation policy that will impact septic tank removal. It is the right decision for our community. I look forward to working with the town on this project, and water quality really does impact all of us. And this will move the ball in the right direction, so thank you.
Angela Birchfield.
Good evening. I come to you for your expert advice and decision. We don't want, sorry, I'm here for the Russell Drive rezoning as well. We don't want to make a fear-based decision or make any oppositions based on fear. I work a full-time job plus raise a family, so if you want to talk about chassis or logistics, that's my area of specialty. But this is about density and development, which is your area of specialty, and why we, the town, elected y'all. I can rally the neighborhood and get 400 signatures against rezoning based on details provided to us by people involved in the transaction of the sale and development. Is all of it true? We hope so. Do we think that some of it is vague? We do, which is what concerns us. Do I, or any of us, really have the time to dig in and research all the details? Well, it is part of our responsibility. I don't have time to research every detail. We did talk with Mr. Gary, who isn't just a realtor, but also a family friend of mine. He asked us to consider the family and their heirs that will benefit from this sale. We understand that, but this isn't personal. We do want them to benefit, which we think they will, and in our opinion, no matter the sale price. We need to think not only about this property, but additional properties near the Shade of Plenty and in Mount Pleasant in general that could use this rezoning as an example to come to you and ask you to do the same for their families. We need to think about the flooding and drainage that does not seem adequately addressed. Most importantly, we need to think about affordable housing, which Mount Pleasant used to pride themselves on, but it seems to be being pushed out of our town. Again, we're not zoning experts. We're residents concerned about keeping the low country low density. We want to keep Mount Pleasant affordable for not only ourselves and our children, but generations to come, including those that want to move here and who want to enjoy and maintain the charm that we pride ourselves on. We hope that you consider all the points and concerns from all sides and make a decision that's best for Mount Pleasant. Thank you.
Katie Womble.
Hi, just another person here to also ask you about the Shade of Plenty mobile home. If you'll please consider backing up the Planning Committee's decision. I have several points here, but just wanted to address the fact that the current 36 lots that are there are not full, number one, and number two, they are small RVs or campers or things like that, really probably irrelevant to most people in the amount of space they take up. So that is a variance. Also, it's not actually zoned for that. So I just wanted to say I'm speaking on behalf of myself and neighbors. A lot of them are in red back here because we're all very passionate about our neighborhood and we care about the community. So this proposed rezoning is for medium density. This area is heavily congested with traffic and worsened by the interchange at Coleman and Chuck Dolly. School and preschool traffic are also at the same intersection, and beach and tourism traffic. By changing these requirements from R1 low density, which it is currently zoned, to R3, minimum lot sizes potentially allow for a 68% increase in allowable dwellings per acre. This means more residents and more traffic. In addition to this, we've seen environmental impacts throughout our community, water quality issues, drainage and flooding issues. Changing from R1 to R3 allows for an increase in building coverage from 35% to 50% of the building lot. This means that over half the land could be covered by a building. Less vegetation, less natural drainage, and more runoff. More homes per acre, more concrete coverage, and more driveways and patios. I ask that you deny this request because it opposes the citizen-identified needed changes to the overlay district goals of traffic congestion without infrastructure change. It opposes walkability and biking safety, and proposes a denser footprint that will result in higher land use and reduced natural areas. This area is home to a preschool and elementary school, which many neighbors bike to from the surrounding neighborhoods, including ours. I personally take my elementary school-age children on bike rides to adjacent neighborhoods, and I enjoy passing by these areas, and a lower density area is very much appreciated for this. We appreciate the development of the land and don't deny that it should be done, but we would ask the developer to develop the land within the current R1 zoning guidelines. Thank you.
Michael Harley.
Good evening, Mr. Mayor and honorable councilpersons. I'm Michael Harley, 1600 Long Grove Drive. Tonight I come to you for the first reading of section 30.34, ordinance 22043. It's my opinion that requiring a supermajority vote to levy sanctions of members of council or the mayor, preferential treatment is intolerable. Our government should and must be transparent and not conduct its business in the shadows. It is ill-conceived, unethical to conspire to leverage power over others and our citizens. This is in direct conflict by our governing body to require a less than equal administration of the rules by allowing a supermajority vote granted to a few and only a simple vote for the citizens. Remember why you chose to serve on council and as mayors. Do good for the people. Your personal integrity is on the line. Council members and mayors who served before you served with honor. Those that will serve after you must know that you served with honor. Search your heart, your conscience, and your motives tonight before you vote. Do the right thing by the people of Mount Pleasant. Thank you.
That's all I have signed up, sir.
Is there anyone who did not sign up would like to speak? If you would give your name and address in 2.5 minutes, please.
Good evening, Mayor Haney and everyone. My name is Plachette Grant, and I'm at 1684 LaTroy Avenue in reference to the sewer ordinance. It's my understanding that this is the final reading, and thank you for the residents that will be benefiting from the existing dwellings, but I am still here concerned about those of us that still desire to build and do not have an existing dwelling, yet we're on legacy property that's been in our communities and families for years. I first talked about this at the Mount Pleasant Waterworks back in November of 2018 when my husband and I decided to build. We since then have talked and conversed with Charleston County. An ordinance was presented for that, saying that we did not have to annex, and that was in 2019. So I still stand saying we still hope that at some given point, we will be able to build without annexing on our legacy tract of property in not only Snowden, but the other Black communities that have legacies of tracts that they would like for their loved ones to have the opportunity to build for. And there are some other members from our community that's here as well. Thank you for your time, and hopefully we'll be able to make that happen.
All right, thank you very much. That ends item 6, which is public comment, which moves us to item 7, which is consent agenda items.
Move to approve items on the consent agenda.
Second.
We have a motion and a second, and just as a reminder, it's items A through G, as was amended by vote back in section 3. We have a motion, we have a second. Any discussion about the motion to approve all of the consent agenda items? All in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, consent agenda items are approved.
Final reading of consent agenda items A through G.
This brings us to planning new business. Mrs. Reed, good evening.
Thank you, Mayor and council members. One more. All right, this request before you is an annexation that came from
Move to
committee.
approve.
Second.
This is the annexation, not the zoning. The annexation, we have a motion to approve in a second. Is there any discussion? All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes unanimously.
First reading ordinance number 22035.
Next.
Okay, moving on. This next ordinance is to rezone.
Move to approve.
Second.
We have a motion to approve and a second. Is there any discussion? All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion approved unanimously.
First reading ordinance number 22036.
Item 3.
So
Move
this.
to approve.
Second.
We're not letting you talk tonight.
That's fine.
All right. Just as long as there was no offense taken. Motion to approve and a second. Any discussion? All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes unanimously.
First reading ordinance number 22037.
Okay, item 4. This is
Motion to deny.
Second.
the actual rezoning on Long Point Road. The motion is to deny, and we have a second. Is there any discussion? All right, all in favor of the motion to deny the rezoning, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes unanimously.
Okay.
All right, moving right along. Item number 5.
Move to deny.
Second.
We have a motion to deny, and we have a second. Is there any discussion? All in favor of the motion to deny, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes unanimously. Item number 6.
Move to deny.
We have a motion to deny item number 6 and a second. Any discussion? All in favor of the motion to deny, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes unanimously. Item number 7, please.
This one has been withdrawn,
Okay.
both the annexation and the next agenda item for zoning.
And for clarity's sake, in the record, there is no action required. I take it by council. That is correct. I got you. Legal counsel said that is correct. So those 2 items have been withdrawn. This brings us to item number 9, discussion and possible action regarding the town's current residential density in commercial zoning districts. Mr. Rambo, I believe you were leading this, and I think you have a motion, please.
Yes, I would like to move to task Planning Commission with exploring possible reductions in residential density allowed in commercial zoning districts.
I'll second.
All right, we have a motion and we have a second. Is there any discussion?
Yes, sir.
Yes.
We discussed this at Planning Committee several meetings ago. We've already made a change from what was recommended in the comprehensive plan. And I think that is sufficient. I would not be in favor of further sanitizing the town of Mount Pleasant. Hopefully, the Planning Commission will see the fact that we need to be able to have reasonable housing within the town. And all you have to do is go look at what's happened at the 6 Mile Shopping Center. The apartments there have made it a viable center. There were a lot of businesses that were closing without the apartments that opened there. They've made it a livable, walkable, and usable community. It's certainly better than we had. So while this may get approved, I am not in favor of further downsizing what you can do in the commercial areas. You can't try to get single-family housing in a commercial shopping center.
Yes, sir.
I understand what you're saying, Mr. Chapman, but density of 12 units per acre, 12 residential units per acre that's currently allowed in our commercial zoning, I think that's been one of the issues we've had in our town, is squeezing so many people into areas that used to just be solely commercial areas. It's contributed to the traffic and issues that we've had. And just because you can squeeze more units in there doesn't make them affordable. I know there's a big issue with affordable housing, but that time and time again, they have not been affordable. And just to clarify, nobody's talking about single family in commercial areas. I don't even think that's an allowed use. This vote would not be to set anything in stone. It would just be to get the process moving, to go through the planning commission, have them explore it, come back to planning committee, and eventually come back to council, instead of this just dying in planning committee, which it did. So it's really just to explore that process.
Yes, sir, Mr. Iacofano.
If it died in planning committee, then why is it on council, I guess, would be my question.
Because I put it on the agenda.
Okay. I mean, I understand, but I mean, it died in committee. I understand. What I don't understand is I know density is a very dangerous word in Mount Pleasant, but there are places where density works, and we haven't allowed it to work in Mount Pleasant. You have to take economic development, public transportation, and hopefully affordable housing, and allow them to come together. This is kind of coming in sideways. I know it was at planning committee, but why do we want to reduce, why do we want to get rid of 12 units per acre in commercial zones? I mean, don't we have these hub zones that are supposed to be encouraging this community and livability? That's what the hub zones were about. What's the conditional use on these properties?
So ever since, even before when Christiane first started, she remembers it's always been 12 units an acre when it's straight commercial zoning. If you were in the urban corridor, which it was previously called, it used to be 20 units or 16 units. But the 12 units an acre is conditional in all of our commercial zoning districts, subject to the 3 conditions, which are it is 12 units an acre, and it has to be on the 2nd floor with street access. You can't have any on the ground floor. And just some of the things that we did talk about in committee were that we are updating the code. We're working on the code to reflect the comprehensive plan. We've already made changes to our residential densities based on our new comprehensive plan. And right now, we're working on actually the first 4 subchapters, which deals with densities, permitted uses in all of our residential zoning districts. So I think I don't know that committee, it was necessarily a dead issue. I think they looked at the fact that we had the building permit allocation system in place, which is in place for another 2 years, and that was allowing us to do the code rewrite. So we had sort of a protective measure in place instead of continuing to kind of piecemeal these amendments. But it is 12 units an acre, and it's always been 12 units an acre in commercial.
Shouldn't we allow staff some time to do the code rewrite before we start changing again? I guess is my thoughts.
Mr. Mayor?
Yes, Ms. Whitley.
Yes, that was the thought of the Planning Commission, and that was the reason why we didn't bring it further, is because we have these protections in place, so this 12 units per acre is not going to happen unless it's workforce housing in our community until at least 2024. And that's plenty of time for the consultants that we have hired at no small expense to the town to rewrite the entire zoning code. And so our thought was to allow them to sort of do their job and bring that forth to the planning committee and see what is reflected as far as the comprehensive plan in the zoning changes. So I'm with Mr. Chapman on this. I don't think that it's an urgent issue for us to address at this point in time.
Was somebody raising their hand? I'm looking at a picture of the late beloved Dick Jones. He and I worked together when I was in my 20s, and he had a great saying, "I feel strongly both ways." And what I would like to say, as I understand the motion, it is to have the discussion at the Planning Commission. I have concerns not so much about the density, but in the way that, as written, it can be used. And do we have protections in there? For instance, are our regulations on short-term rentals written strongly enough to where what we think we're getting for livability or any other use to keep commercial sites viable and have some living upstairs? For instance, I'm a big fan of Shellmore. I think that with residences above and office or retail on the bottom is a good thing. How many units per acre is that? I don't know. I couldn't tell you. But I want to look at these things in the whole. I want to look at protecting what we think is housing for residents from turning into basically hotels, overnight stays. So I'm not against the discussion going to Planning Commission, but, and I talked with Councilman Rambo about this earlier, I'm not wholesale doing it so we can say we're going to reduce density, but we're going to have the discussion about how is it written. Could it be the third floor so that we could have retail on the bottom, office on the second floor, and residential on the third floor? That's where I'm coming from. I will vote for this to go to the Planning Commission, but I wanted to be very clear about what my why is on that. Yes, sir.
Yeah, I agree with you on the Shellmore, what you said about Shellmore. I like the idea of what they've done over there as well. On the ground floor, like you say, they have stores. In the middle, they have their offices, and then on the top floor, they have their homes. And so sometimes they don't even have to leave their house, to go to work or things. So I'm okay with sending it to the Planning Commission. I don't think there's any rush right now. I think we ought to send it to them, let them come back to us, and then we can make up our mind then.
Anyone else? All right, so the motion is to send this to the Planning Commission to discuss possible reductions. All in favor of the motion to send it, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed?
No.
No.
Who was that? Ms. Whitley, Mr. Ritchie, Mr. Agachano, and Mr. Chapman.
What is that, 4? So by 5 to 4, the motion passes. All right, that concludes item 9, which moves us to section B, old business. I understand that item number 1 has requested a deferral.
Yeah, this should be the last one, so next month it'll either be withdrawn or it'll be heard.
All right, any action needed for the record? None. Do we need to vote to defer?
Motion to defer.
Okay, thank you.
Second.
Thank you very much. Any discussion? We have a motion and a second. All in favor of the motion to defer, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? It is deferred. All right, section 9, committee action items, bids and purchases committee, approval for award of contract for police department replacement of weapons.
I can go ahead and handle that,
All right.
sir. This came out of committee. Reason why it's in front of you today is because it's from seized assets. The current rules of the town that govern seized assets require this type of expenditure to be approved by council.
Motion to approve.
Second.
Motion to approve and a second. Any discussion? All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, motion
Mr. Mayor,
passes.
I should have also noted, Mr. Mayor, it was approved, sent to and recommended for approval by bids and purchases.
Thank you very much. All right, that concludes item A. Item B, Flood Resilience Committee. This is to approval to accept federal grants for stormwater improvements in the Hobcaw neighborhood and to perform a townwide hazard vulnerability analysis. As chair of the Flood Resilience Committee, this was sent with the recommendation of approval, so it does not require a second. Any discussion? All right, all in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes. That concludes item B. Item C, Health, Recreation, and Events Committee, approval to accept a recreation grant for the construction of Hamlin Trail. Ms. Chairman.
This came out of committee, and we recommended approval of accepting the recreation grant for the construction of the Hamlin Trail.
Motion to approve.
All right. It does not require a second. Any discussion? All in favor of the motion to approve, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes unanimously.
The next item came out of committee that we recommend approval of accepting a donation from Mount Pleasant Academy, the PTA, toward the construction of
Motion to
improvements to
approve.
the existing basketball court.
All right, coming from committee does not require a second. Any discussion? All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes unanimously. Thank you very much. That's items A and B. Item 10, council business, new business. Number 1 is a resolution establishing approval and spending authorization levels relative to seized assets funds. Yes, sir, Mr. Moore.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. What this does, the adoption of this resolution goes ahead and takes the old 2015 approvals for how we approve seized assets funds and matches them to the current procurement levels of the town.
Okay. Do we have a motion to approve?
Move for approval.
Second.
We have a motion and we have a second. Any discussion? All in favor, please say aye. Yes, oh, sorry.
Sorry. I had a question on the seized assets. At what point, because I know, at what point is it determined that those assets are illegitimate in the sense of like, you know what I mean? Because some people, like if they have a small business or whatever, they travel with cash, and if you know what I mean? There's like when do you know for certain, or how does the determination made of like, this isn't someone's life savings that they've taken out of their couch to go do something with, and you know what I mean? As opposed to it being illegitimate funds.
These are drug seizures.
Oh, okay, thank you. All right, never mind then.
You might not want to admit those.
All right, thank you. Just because I know in some jurisdictions it's much broader of what is taken from people,
Right.
so, yeah.
Don't.
All right. Any other discussion? All in favor of the motion to approve, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes.
Resolution 22061.
Item A2 is a resolution authorizing a law enforcement assistance agreement between the Lexington Police Department and the Mount Pleasant Police Department.
Move
Move
to
for
approve.
approval.
Second.
We have a motion to approve, a chorus, and a second. Any discussion? All in favor of the motion to approve, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion is approved.
Resolution 22062.
Item number 3, first reading of an
Mr.
ordinance.
Mayor, I have a motion.
Okay.
I would like to have this ordinance sent back to the HR committee for review.
Second.
We have a motion and a second to send this back to the HR committee. I don't mean to speak for the chair, but I believe she, if you would like to say, you have something to say.
No, I'm fine with that. I know I heard public comments today, and we've gotten a couple of emails and just seen some stuff that we want to discuss with legal before we move forward.
All right. So this would just send it back to the HR committee. Any discussion? All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, motion passes. Okay, item number 4, first reading of an ordinance to amend the section of Mount Pleasant Code of Ordinances entitled Public Comments at Town Meetings. You all have a copy of that. This has come through committee, and I believe it was unanimous at Police, Judicial, and Legal Committee that handles these type things, and this would just set it at 2.5 minutes without discussion or discretion, that it would automatically be 2.5 minutes. It has been 2 minutes for years and years and years, and this would set it at 2.5. So do we need a motion, or is this is a recommendation out of committee?
Well, sir, you still need a motion.
All right.
And a vote.
All right. Do we have a motion to approve?
Move to approve.
We have a motion to approve.
Second.
Do we have a second? And a second. Any discussion? Mr. Santos?
Yeah, Mr. Mayor, actually, it was up to 3 minutes. The ordinance was up to 3 minutes, not 2. I was the one that wrote it back in, I think it was 1998, unless it changed sometime, but it was up to 3 minutes, correct?
Correct, sir. It used to read 1 to 3 minutes.
1 to 3 minutes. And 30 extra seconds, I mean, you notice a lot of the folks that spoke today, they didn't even take up all their time. But to limit them and tell them that you're going to get less time, I think some of the council members have said before, a lot of these citizens don't have opportunities to see all of us at one time in one place and be able to give us their opinion on issues. And this is a good opportunity for them to do it. And look what happened tonight. We heard a lot from citizens. They didn't abuse it. They said what they had to say, and they sat down. And I just don't think that we ought to cut back their time. Up to 3 minutes. You'll have some that'll go 1.5 minutes. You'll have some that'll go to 3 minutes. But I just can't take back the citizens' time, the little bit of time they have with us as a group here, and cut that back. So I'm sorry. I won't be voting for this.
Mr. Mayor.
Yes, ma'am.
So as long as I've been on council, I guess I'm up to almost 5 years, it's been 2 minutes. And I know that the range was 1 to 3, but citizens have always received 2 minutes as their limit at public comment. So this is actually an increase in 30 seconds of their time. And this just makes it a fixed time. Because with the range in the ordinance, conceivably of 1 to 3 minutes, a chair of a committee could offer only 1 minute of time, and that would be perfectly allowed under the ordinance. So this would actually be an increase in time from the standard 2 minutes that we've offered up to 2 minutes and 30 seconds, and this would be an additional time. So I'm in support of this motion.
Right. Want to mention also, this is first reading, so we're not allowed to make any amendments to it. Any other comments? All right. All in favor of the motion to approve, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed?
No.
No.
All right.
First reading, ordinance number 22044.
7 for, 2 against. All right, item 5 on the next page is first reading of an ordinance to approve a referendum regarding a proposed tax millage increase to construct and maintain recreation facilities. I believe we have a copy that was all sent to us. It's ordinance number 22045. The wording has to be precise for ballot purposes. I guess we need a motion to proceed with any discussion.
Move to approve.
Second.
Motion to approve and a second. Would someone like to? Yes.
I would just like to say, so with this being first reading, there are no amendments allowed. I know we've heard, I had a number of emails and I've heard from folks that are heavily involved in the tennis facility on Whipple Road. And we'll certainly be bringing that as a potential amendment for next month. But for now, with first reading and the inability to amend, I'd like to pass it as it is for the moment.
All right. Any other comments?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Mayor, I am totally in favor of having a referendum, and I want to make sure it gets passed. One issue that, in looking at the facilities that are shown, that we've talked about and is in the 5-year CIP, is another senior center for the northern part of Mount Pleasant. I'm not sure how many members of council have looked at our voters in Mount Pleasant, the registered voters. We currently have over 93,000 voters. Over 93,000, I can tell you. I'm sorry. 62,752, I apologize. Voters in Mount Pleasant are 62,752. Of those 62,752 voters, 30,772 were born either in 1972 or earlier. That means they're 50 years old or older. In looking at why a senior center should be built, again, it's part of our 5-year CIP. Some of the issues that are listed are not. I'm not against any of the issues that are on there, is what I'm saying. But we need to make sure that when 49% of the voters in Mount Pleasant are 50 years old or older, we recognize that to get this passed. So I would ask that in some way, shape, or form, we think about that senior center in the northern part of Mount Pleasant. And there may be another way to do that, but please remember, to get this passed, we got to have over 50% of the voters voting for it. And when 49% are senior citizens over 50, and I say senior over 50 only because that's what it's called, a senior center, we need to think about that long and hard with the items that are on there. And that's all I've got to say. I'm totally in favor of it. One of the things I ran on is to get more recreation facilities for our citizens. And we need to do it, and I certainly think we need to do it in a general election, as Councilmember Whitley said at our last meeting. It needs to be when the most voters are voting to make sure it's a good thing. So I'm not trying to do anything to stop this referendum. I'm trying to make sure that we recognize where our votes are coming from and to make sure we get over 50%. Thank you.
Yes, sir. And let me remind everyone too, this is first reading, so there are no amendments.
I would agree with Mr. Chapman on the senior center. I hope that it would be a multi-use center, as we could appease all citizens. I do want to state, I do wish that this referendum was $100 million, as I've stated in the past. And if we're not going to do $100 million, I would love to see it to be 10 years and not to sunset, because we have a lot of work to do in Mount Pleasant, and I believe that we could use the facilities and we could use the space. So I am all in favor of going to 100 million, but if we do 50, lower it to 10 years and not allow it to sunset. But I digress.
All right. Again, all of those things can be up for discussion at second reading. As comments, I would just like to say as chair, the reason that I felt strongly that this should be during a municipal election is it's going to be very, very far down ballot where people are voting for everything from U.S. Senate down to county council. County council is planning to have an affordable housing referendum that's going to add 2 mills if it passes to everyone's tax bill, and ours would add 4. We're in highly inflationary times, and I'm just not sure that this fall is the best time for that. So that having been said, I am going to vote for this at first reading, and then I think we have some different ideas that might be coming up at second reading. So anyone else? Yes, sir.
Yeah, just one quick thing. You know, you've noticed the last couple of meetings we've had a lot of our young children up in front of us, state champions. I don't even remember how many we've had over the last 4 or 5 meetings come before us, and it's fantastic that they're out there and working out. When you got, like you said, the senior center, and I think we need more of it. We're growing. We got a lot more people coming, and I think we need to ask the citizens and let the citizens make up their mind whether or not they want to do this. I think there's a lot of push to do it, and like I said, the results, we see the results every day, every council meeting here in front of us of what a good recreation department can produce for your community, and So I'm for it as well.
All right. If there's no further comment, all in favor of the motion to approve first reading, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes unanimously.
First reading, ordinance number 22045.
The next item, B1, old business, was moved by proper vote at the beginning of the meeting to the consent agenda item, so that has already been dealt with. Item C is executive session. Do we have a motion to go into executive session?
So moved.
For the purpose of?
Second.
For the purpose of receipt of legal advice relating to pending litigation, and under item C1, and personnel under item C2, appointments to boards and commissions for the Board of Zoning Appeals and the Commercial Design Review Board.
Excellent. Thank you very much. We have a motion and a second. Is there any discussion? All in favor of the motion? Nope. Let me read this first. Council may take action on any item, including any subsection of any section listed on an executive session agenda or discussed in an executive session during a properly noticed meeting. All in favor of the motion to go into executive session for the reasons stated, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? We are in executive session. Are we going to the courtroom? Okay.
Being light out
president of the Super Society. I got a meeting at 8.
What does your wife do?
All right, if everybody will come, we have a chance to move along. If the record will show, record the time that we reconvened from executive session, no votes were cast, no action was taken. Do we have any motions resulting from information discussed in executive session, please?
I'll move on the Design Review Board. Number one, that Alyssa Morrison for the vacancy for seat number 1, and Abigail Richardson for the vacant at-large seat number 2.
All right, we have a motion. Do we have a second?
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor of the 2 nominees as mentioned for the seats so designated, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? The motion passes. Next for Boza.
Next for Boza, Mr. Mayor and Council, I make a motion that we appoint Cameron Swales to seat number 6 on Boza.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Is there any discussion? All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? And will the clerk note that I abstain, please?